we're going to open it up for some questions here. So, what do you want to know?
I'm curious if there was ever a point at which you considered discontinuing with PCC or truncating your journey, and what factors encouraged you to continue?
I did not think of stopping, and I think the main reason why are the tiny habits. Marissa has been so great with giving me only what I can deal with, only what I can handle, and then we add something else. Get that down. Some of the things we've even taken off the spreadsheet because she's like, I know you got this. So now we're going to move into this. And it's been a slow, gradual process that I was able to sustain. And I just wanted to keep learning. Like, okay, what's next? What am I going to learn next? What other tools am I going to have for the future?
No, I never thought of stopping, not yet, because I wasn't prepared. I felt I still needed more. And when the Black Friday promotion came, it's like, okay, I talked to Marilyn, this is where I want to go. Even though I was very near my goal weight, I still didn't knew how to manage that maintenance, after, not tracking or not. So I decided to continue. And it's very important because when I started this, even though I started with a 16-week, I knew that this was not going to be a quick fix, and I needed at least a year. For sure. I knew that I needed more than a year, and I wanted to continue with that process. I never thought about, this is it. I want out.
I will be real honest, not that I wanted to stop, but I felt like financially a couple times I'm like, oh, I don't know. But I remember when I was initially talking to Marissa about it, she's like, what would you do? How much money, think about it in the future if you looked back, how much would you pay for that? And I thought about it, and it took me a while to even commit. I had to sit on it, and finally I was just like, okay, I'll do it. And then along the way there were certain times where I'd be like, can I do this? But it was worth every penny. To this day I have to sacrifice some stuff, but I would do it in a heartbeat. And since I started PCC, I had a promotion at my job, and recently my company sort of got acquired, went into this new partnership, and I got brought on into a new role, which meant a little bit more money. And so it's funny how the changes that wasn't about just the releasing the weight. I've been a more confident person. It's helped me in my career, and therefore helped a little bit. And to be real raw and honest, I'm in my late 30s. I had a loan with my parents that they were on. I'm like, oh, Marissa, what are they going to think? My dad, who, he was kind of like, you're on the line with this loan. He's never asked me once about PCC. He just leaves that alone because he's like, I'm sure he's thinking I can see the change. She's paying off her loan, and that's all that matters. So yes, I have, but I'm glad that I've stuck with it.
I guess mine is a little different because the times that I did think about it but then kept going were exactly what I needed. And then the times where I knew I was done, then I was done. And I had some conversations with my coach, with Marissa. And for me, it was time to, I got some wings. It's time to spread them and see if I can really carry myself. See if this is really permanent. Is this sustainable? Am I going to be depending on this program for the rest of my life? Or is this truly what push comes to shove, rubber hits the road, is the tools that they gave you going to actually work in the long run? And it does. And it was just not like this, all right, you want to be done, see you later, peace out, hope you are successful. But it was like a gradual, almost phasing out, and it gave me the confidence. Still had a little bit of support for a couple months, and then I was just okay, done officially with the program. But the relationship and the camaraderie and even social media and all that, the connection didn't just go away, didn't just go poof. Now you're I don't even know you, So, and it gave me such a confidence that just translated into so many areas of my life. I can do this, and I have changed, and not just changed, but actually transformed my relationship with food, my mindsets, my all or nothing stuff, my perfectionism, so many things I could just go on down the list. It transformed my relationships. It transformed my way I parent. It transformed the way I directed my job, everything, And so it really gave me that, these actually worked. It was a worthwhile investment that I am actually reaping the dividends of, even today.
For those of you who've had longer journeys, do you set like short-term fitness or health goals that like help you chunk it up and keep it like attainable? Like I know you had the Spartan race. Do you set like goals like that to help keep you like interested and motivated and like have the phases feel different?
I do. I remember I just finished the Spartan and Marissa's like, all right, what's next? I'm like, I don't know what's next. She's like, well, you should start thinking about 2024. I travel for work, and all of 23, I traveled sometimes 3 out of 4 weeks within the month. I have to eat out all the time and travel all the time. Schedule's never the same. So yes, I set, like this year, it's a little extreme, but I was like, this is a year of me. So I have 5 different things I'm doing. A marathon. I've never done a triathlon. I'm terrified of swimming. So I'm like, we're going to force ourselves to do that. I'm doing a couple Spartans, and any case, I set all of those things up, and I set them up every couple of months to keep myself focused. So on the exercise, yes, and then I do set like little mini goals for nutrition, but really just trying to stay consistent with my nutrition program, which is really where I run into difficulty. But I find that having those like mini goals and setting ones that are hard, like the triathlon, it keeps me focused, and then it gets me up in the gym. It gets me up early because I can't leave it to the end of the night because it might not happen. And then I feel like by doing that, I'll have more success. But also, you never know what can happen in the meantime. So just one day at a time.
Yes, I definitely had to set mini goals. Got to my first goal. Let's keep going, set a second goal. But then beyond the scale even, I do little goals. Like Jenna Lynn said, I'm working on pull-ups. So little things that are going to keep me moving forward that go beyond the scale.
I think you have to do those goals. For me, it's like, let's do 1 month straight, 10,000 steps a day, and document it. And doing ab rollers like every day. I started with 5, then 10, then now it's 20. Things like that, within the fat phase and then the break. So I also look at that as some of the goals. So let's do the 6 week and then we have a break and then go again. The training sessions, let's continue growing. Let's do if we can do more weight, more, like challenge myself within even the workout, right?
So after the goals were no longer set with me and for me, I took the successful blueprint lesson thing, and I studied that. I studied it, and I looked back, and I rewatched the videos. And so the material that you get with it, that you have lifelong access to, it's like, don't forget about it, So I mapped out my 2 years. I set major phases, micro phases that were life appropriate. So when I found out I was pregnant, I pivoted it, and then I remapped it for the next 2 years. And I keep look at it each time of like, is this still appropriate? Is this still life appropriate? And then I set, 12-week goals. And it's kind of perfect because, my life is broken up by trimesters right now, so it's perfect, First trimester, I had these goals. Second trimester, I had these goals. I'm going into my third one. And with each one, I'm setting it where it's challenging, but it's appropriate. So I feel like that's like a really like huge emphasis, like life appropriate goals, And with my nutrition, it was like, having to pivot from a very strict, like, hit these macros when you can't, when you're just throwing up all day, that's not realistic. So like pivoting, but not saying, oh, well, I can't do anything, so I'm just not going to do anything. So I do set life appropriate goals that also contribute to my big overall goal, because I know that I will get to that. So having those tools from PCC in your tool belt and then being able to apply it to the different parts of your life, I think is just the most liberating thing I've ever experienced.
Give it up again for our success panel.